unfiltered opportunity to watch Biden being Biden.
Times when he gently rearranges a young girl's hair and whispers in her ear, rearranges some more. There's nothing pervy here. He knows he's on camera at these swearing-in ceremonies, and the parents are right there as he leans in for a kiss.
Do you feel you're able to control, to put in the vernacular of your mouth, that you can think before you talk?
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
I'm like the token black or the token woman. I was the token young person.
Some say his loose tongue could be his major downfall if he seeks the Democratic nomination for president.
I've been dumb.
That his mouth runs well ahead of his mind.
No man has a right to raise his hand to a woman for any reason other than self-defense. I'm speaking for my country. You make up your own decision.
I feel very capable of using my mouth in sync with my mind.
$60 a month, over $5,000 a year.
I would not recommend that anyone pick me for vice president.
Time for me to remind myself of why I got involved in politics in the first place.
Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma, accused of corruption, appoints Hunter Biden, seen here in their promotional videos, to their board of directors, paying his firm more than $1 million a year. Hunter, a lawyer who had just been discharged from the Navy Reserves for testing positive for cocaine.
Everything about me is going to come out in the public record.
Critics say you have a tendency to say something without thinking it through. How much of a problem do you think that will be as a presidential candidate?
I think everything through.
As the youngest member of the Senate, the one, therefore, who may expect the longest career there, I wonder if you'd say to us, since it's clear that you're not corrupt and you got elected, why should people think that the system produces corrupt results when there you are?
Well, I'm not sure you should assume I'm not corrupt, but thank you for that, though.
Questions about foreign deals his son Hunter Biden pursued.
My father, Joe Biden.
In countries where Joe Biden was working as America's top diplomat.
Everybody loves Joe Biden.
I will stop being a candidate for president of the United States.
Good evening. Come in. Chair, please. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Joe Biden promised Ukraine $1 billion if they fired the prosecutor investigating his son's company.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
But when President Trump asks Ukraine to investigate corruption, the Democrats want to impeach him, and their media lapdogs fall in line. They lost the election. Now they want to steal this one. Don't let them.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit,
please
build
share.
them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the Brexit states. You live here in Ohio, you know what I'm talking about. Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone, the car's been repoed, they haven't had a real vacation in years, they're stuck with the shitty Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a fucking Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had, except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote. They might be penniless, they might be homeless, they might be fucked over and fucked up. It doesn't matter, because it's equalized on that day. A millionaire has the same number of votes as the person without a job. 1. And there's more of the former middle class than there are in the millionaire class. So on November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a big fucking X in the box by the name of the man who has threatened to upend and overturn the very system that has ruined their lives. Donald J. Trump. They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump after they loved him and created him. And now hate him. Thank you, media. The enemy of my enemy is who I'm voting for on November 8th. Yes, on November 8th, you, Joe Blow, Steve Blow, Bob Blow, Billy Bob Blow, all the blows, get to go and blow up the whole goddamn system because it's your right.
Amen.
Trump's election is going to be the biggest fuck you ever recorded in human history. And it will feel good.
Amen, indeed. How are you doing? Hopefully you're feeling good. Everybody's well. And it is Saturday. It's a little bit later than I usually do, but hey, what does it matter? It's all right. I wanted to jump on here to get something going, get some educate some people and get some news in there, because tomorrow is another protest in Lansing, Michigan, and hopefully in many other cities. It almost feels like a different country, doesn't it? So I hope all of you are doing well. I wish no ill will for no one. So it is a fantastic week. This is the best week we've had in a while. Not only is the coronavirus dying down, our cities are reopening, but we still have cucks in the mists. So join us on DLive, YouTube, Facebook, and of course Twitter. I would really appreciate it very much. I do appreciate all of you. So really, the one thing that is most amazing about this week, I will get to extremely shortly. It kind of resides back there, you know, something been talking about for a while, and I told you for a long time that this was going to happen. But first I got to correct myself, and I told you I'm not going to be a damn hypocrite. And with the when this coronavirus first came out, they had a lot of footage coming out. So it appears that we all were duped on that. It could have been a propaganda ploy by the Chinese. So I'm going to go on the record, and I'm going to keep my word to all of you. If I feel I've been mistaken, I will correct it. And there you go. Because a lot of people won't. So right now we are in the midst of the crack in the dam. this is not a fracture. This is a massive crack right now. And I will tell you about that in a few minutes. But first, secretive liberal donor submits increase security changes following the Free Beacon report. Of course, it's our evil one, George Soros, who's into everything. California member of the Democratic Alliance, a secret dark money liberal donor network appears to have moved to increase security presence in the altar. It's scheduled for, at the Fall Donor Summit following the Washington Free Beacon report Friday morning, based off a group of intel documents. The high dollar progressive donor who vowed to direct at least $200,000 in funding for left-wing group of the alliance have currently gathered to Parsh La Costa Reports located in California. It is a 3-day fall investment conference to plot the 2018 resistance and game plan. The Free Beacon is also to be the only member of the media on-site coverage of the conference has obtained intel documents. That's pretty huge. More dark money keeps falling through the cracks. Meant only for attendees and deal with the conference agenda for those who are currently at the gathering. Jendal Ross, a Washington Post reporter, is allegedly at the summit, but is listed to being a getting of the economic narrative right panel at the conference. Following the publication of the story in early Friday morning, there has been a notable increase in security personnel at this resort. These reporters intend to the original tendency also appear to have been altered. Diners also now have to identify their names in the room numbers upon sitting down at the restaurant, which was not required yesterday, as these reports discovered this morning. The DA agenda titled Beyond Resistance, Reclaiming the Progressive Future, established the participation guidelines and includes most guests not sharing any of the members. Hey Nathan, hey Tracy, how you doing? Legalize weed. Well, it's kind of legalized. Turkey. Not sharing any of the members' names with the press or social media that also attends, refrained on leaving a sensitive morale behind. Okay, let's see. There we go. I'm trying new little tricks. How you doing, Tracy and Nathan? Hope you're doing well. Why isn't it coming on my screen? That's weird. It should be on my other chat. Tracy's on D Live and Nathan is on Periscope. It should be showing. great. You guys broke it. No, I'm just kidding. Then we have oops. There we go. I'm going to do it this way. A freshman Muslim Democrat lawmaker charged with robbing more than 5,000 will resign, facing possible jail time. We hope so. No, it's not Omar. I wished it were. What's her name? Money that we trusted to guarantee this. Oh, no, that's not it. Come on. Don't do this. State Attorney General Josh Shapiro said Haley engaged. Oh, come on. I don't like these articles when they put too much crap in it. Let's try this again. The other day, another Democrat busted threatening or trading money. Were trusted in a safeguard and has been sued of its as if it were their own. There we go. Got it right. See, you guys just kind of like messed me up there. Yo, Steph. Glad you could join. This time it happens to be a proud Muslim woman named something Johnson Herling. The Democrat lawmaker in Philadelphia has allegations against the woman, if true, suggest that her actions are absolutely averse and brazen. In assistance, there was over $1.5 million that she accused of essentially stealing to fund her extravagant lifestyle. Oh, the rich and famous. No, sorry, just kidding. By her seat in luxury. Gateway Pundit points out that the crooked Democrat did not even serve a whole year in office, and she already resigned in disgrace. Well, it's too bad they all don't resign, to be honest. The State Attorney General, Josh Hurwitz, now we're there, engaged in a brazen corruption that systematically tried to cover up her crimes by falsifying records and financial statements. Her theft knew no bounds. Shapiro said he announced that his office has charged the first-term lawmaker with theft, perjury, tampering, and public records that restore crime on Wednesday morning. Now, why can they not get Omar? You got her on her first term. Seriously. And Omar is probably one of the worst offenders. I don't even need this mic. So, you have her marrying her brother, you have green card, you have theft, you have bribery, probably. All kinds of different things. Probably that's not her real name, and reports are still rumored that that's not her brother or her husband or whatever the hell she's doing now. But you get this one lady, she hasn't even served one term, and she done this. So what the hell's wrong in Minnesota? I guess they need to take lessons from Pennsylvania if they're going to catch her. And what I've been telling you for God knows how long, FBI discussed interviewing Michael Flynn to get him to lie and get him fired. handwritten notes showed. Surprise, surprise, surprise. We knew it. We need to prove it. And it's a good deal. Explosive new internal FBI documents unleashed Wednesday. We're talking last Wednesday. Show the top bureau officers discussed the motivation of interviewing then National Security Advisor Michael Flynn in the White House in January of 2017. Openly questioned their goal as get him to lie so we can prosecute him and have him fired. Handwritten notes written by FBI former head counterintelligence Bill Prytops. I don't recognize the name. After the meeting with the FBI director James Comey, then Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, Fox News is told, further suggested that agents planned in the alternative to get Flynn to admit of lying, breaking the Logan Act. No, the Logan Act is going to be broken by Kerry when he speaks to Russian Ambassador Sergei Kuzlyak during the presidential transition. We will go to his attorney if it decides to load.
Today, your guys at Bell Tire are doing business in a whole new way. We're keeping our customers and employees safe by providing a contact-free experience with stay-in-your-vehicle service, touch-free transactions, a safe, clean environment if you'd like to come inside, or a key drop box if you'd rather leave your car. Plus, Bell Tire is doing even more to keep you rolling by offering 12 months to spread your payments. And, as always, the lowest tire price, period.
Bell Tire.
There we go.
Learning tonight, thank you both, that even more damning documents are expected to be released in coming days, including new texts between disgraced FBI lovers Strzok and Page. But tonight, we now have confirmation everything we've been telling you that the mob and the media never told you. It's all confirmed. Massive law enforcement abuses have been exposed. We've been breaking that down day by day for 3+ years. Confirmation, General Flynn was set up by dirty cops, as Joe DeGeneva rightly said, and deep state bureaucrats inside the highest levels of our government. Here now with more. She is the co-author of Conviction Machine, Standing Up to Federal Prosecutorial Abuse, Michael Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell. Please send my warmest regards to General Flynn. Will the judge, you know him well, you have praised him in your previous book, Judge Sullivan. Will he vacate this, which I believe he should?
I think he's going to have to, Sean. The documents I've seen so far, in addition to the ones you have in your hands now, are even more stunning. It's just absolutely appalling what these agents and then the special counsel operation did to General Flynn. It's abuse of their authority at every turn. I can't thank Attorney General Barr and Mr. Jensen and Mr. Durham enough for having the integrity and fortitude to get to the bottom of this, because that's what it takes. These documents weren't easily discovered. The emails have been in the FBI the whole time, but the handwritten notes, as I understand it, may not have been. We still don't know exactly who the author of those is. But they're devastating evidence of the lengths they were willing to go to disregard all prior protocols, all prior rules, their standard practice in other cases to warn of 1001 violation, all of that. None of that applied to General Flynn. They had only special violations of every protocol known for him because they were determined to take him out.
Sidney, when it says, what is our goal? Truth, admission, or to get him to lie so we can prosecute Flynn or get him fired? You know, I grew up, you know, my mom was a prison guard. My dad, family court probation, and a waiter. My whole family was in law enforcement except me. I was the failure in medicine. But the two guys that made it to the FBI, they were deity in my family, Sidney. They were the top. My question is, Will we get the justice here? Do you feel confident that those that did this will be held accountable, and how do you interpret those notes?
Well, I interpret the notes as absolutely damning of their conduct and their plan. They rejected the advice of the apparent lawyer who wrote the handwritten notes that they not play games with the White House, and instead that's exactly what they did. The author even expresses regrets about having agreed the previous day that Flynn not be shown any of the transcript they had of his calls. Transcript is redacted, but I'm sure that's what they're saying there, because they usually show the evidence to people when they're talking to them about it. But no, General Flynn, they blindsided completely at every turn. They schemed and planned ahead of the meeting to keep him relaxed and unguarded so that he would not even know he was the subject of the interview. I can't even tell you how outraged I am by all of this.
Judge Sullivan, Your Honor, you need to vacate this. Director Wray, time for you to
There
step
you go.
up. Attorney General
And
Barr, keep going.
This
Cindy,
is
you've done a
things we've been telling you for a long time. And of course, they changed the 302s. That was Page and Strutt. So it's all coming to a head. This is just the beginning. The exoneration of General Flynn, and really, I said it before, he deserves the Medal of Honor. He's an honorable man, and there is talk of possibly him being reassigned into the White House again, which that would be pretty awesome. So we'll have to see how it plays out. I do expect him to be fully exonerated from these charges, and they should have been. This judge had been playing footsies for 30 years with the prosecution, and when they couldn't produce documents that they didn't have, they did put a hold on this case for a while, and then this came back up. So God bless all of them. General Flynn, his sons, family, his wife, everybody. They have been through hell. They deserve better, and they definitely deserve compensation for what they've been through. That is true. Excuse me if I'm feeling a little tired. It's late. I came back from work. And I wanted to bring this to you. So let's just hang in there. It's almost over. And, you know, when the dam breaks, it's going to break. And you know Durham is on the job. There's no doubt about it. I have none. Let's see. But this is interesting. Somebody's flipped. Somebody has flipped, my friends. I'm going to do it this way. I like this better.
Well, former top FBI Attorney James Baker saying he's cooperating now with the Justice Department Inspector General's investigation. Judicial Watch first released documents yesterday which show communications between Baker and Washington Post reporter David Ignatius. Ignatius published leaked information on General Flynn's call with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, speculating about the violation of the Logan Act law, which, by the way, has never, ever been prosecuted previously. Joining us tonight is Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. Tom, great to have you here. Let's start with these revelations. I mean, it's extraordinary. This is now laid bare for the American public to know what corrupt, criminal characters were leading the FBI, parts of the Justice Department, and agents who were their minions.
You're right, it is terrible corruption. Let me quickly correct you, Lou. I thought there's another James Baker. He was at the Pentagon, whose documents we released, who was in communications with the Washington Post, and that was the same agency running Stephen Halper. You're right. This is, you know, the FBI is a terribly sick agency in terms of corruption. And we see a dramatic evidence of this with these new documents. They had no viable case, and that's a quote from the documents, against General Flynn, like they were doing with Trump. They were abusing their authority to spy on him, and they still couldn't come up with anything. And when they went to shut the case down, the documents today show, you had Strzok intervening on behalf of FBI leadership, and I mean Comey and McCabe, to keep the case open. And of course that led to later the effort to try to have him fired or prosecute him by this ambush interview that was corruptly done at the direction personally of James Comey.
So let's talk about that leak and the implications here. We were told that that this was a major part of the investigation. It's clear that that is nothing more than an artifice, a cover for what the FBI meant to do, which was destroy General Flynn, right?
Yeah, you have to wonder if the leak was part of the operation against Flynn. I don't know who leaked it. Sidney Powell has alleged that this Baker may have been the one who leaked it. Certainly there's these communications showing he was close to Ignatius, who published the information in the Washington Post. Now Durham supposedly is investigating the leak. So that was classified information, it looks like to me. So there may have been crimes committed targeting General Flynn, in addition to the crimes we're seeing evidenced in the documents this week. And I want to know who's responsible for the cover-up here. These documents have been in the possession of the FBI for years, evidently. These Page Strzok emails and text messages have been withheld from Judicial Watch. They've been slow-rolling the release of these records. In fact, they are sitting on, right now, Flu, the FBI has 8,000 pages of Page Strzok emails they've yet to release to Judicial Watch because they only can release them at a rate of 500 pages a month. We'll be getting them in the next administration.
Isn't it clear that Wray is running a cover-up, and by the way, doing so under the auspices of President Trump's Attorney General William Barr? It is time for somebody to start leading the damn agency and the damn Department of Justice. This is corruption at its worst. It's laid bare for everyone to see, unless they don't have any attorneys in the Justice Department who don't understand civil rights or have the intelligence to see what are plain facts that are being witnessed by the American people every day, in part because of what Judicial Watch has turned over to the public.
Yeah, Wray is a disappointment. I think I would hope that he does
a disappointment.
I'm being nice. And Attorney General Barr has got to step up and pull back this prosecution of General Flynn. And if he doesn't, the president should order him to do it.
It's about time somebody got an order over there, because it's clear the Justice Department can't seem to manage the wherewithal and capacity to understand the difference. Forget about the law for just a minute, as they often do apparently at the Justice Department and FBI. How about just plain simple right and wrong? How about just plain good old American decency and treat people correctly instead of trying to destroy them?
Well, we appreciate these documents came out. The law required they came out, but they're still covering up. We just got a response today about meetings between the FBI top lawyer Baker, the one you mentioned, and the Clinton campaign team, top lawyer. And you know what the response from the FBI and DOJ was? We can't confirm or deny it took place. The cover-up continues, Lou. And these agency heads, if they're not going to be transparent, then there's no accountability and they don't respect the rule of law. And we're at square one in terms of getting some accountability for the worst corruption scandal in American history. The targeting of Flynn was about targeting Trump, and that's where the coup had its origins.
And it is so obvious what has been done to General Flynn, what was attempted to be done to President Trump. I cannot for the life of me understand why William Barr, and I don't know the man, I take him at his word, but his word is taking a very long time to do what seems so obvious to millions of Americans. Right the wrongs and straighten it out, and do it now. This delay is, and by the way, Judge Sullivan, what does it take for him to understand that he's dealing with corruption of extraordinary, unprecedented vast dimensions in the Justice Department as they go after General Flynn. That case should be thrown out by the judge instantly. And instead, everybody's pretending somehow that this is a judiciary seeking only justice. It's pure bull, and far worse than anyone could have possibly imagined. You get the last word, Tom.
Well, it's going to be a big task for both the judiciary and the Justice Department whether the rule of law is going to prevail or whether they're going to allow this coup attack to continue through the auspices of the Justice Department and just using the courts like a plaything. You see that with Judge Sullivan, they use the courts like a plaything with the FISA courts. I would like Judge Sullivan to institute criminal contempt proceedings against the Justice Department and FBI officials responsible for this, just as the FISA courts should have done, frankly, 2 years ago.
And still has done nothing. And by the way, administered by none other than the Chief Justice, John Roberts, who has sat on his hands and hidden behind a robe, cowardly, corruptly, in my opinion. Tom Fitton, good to have you here. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mark.
But you got to give.
I've been using Storyblocks.
You got to give Barr a little credit. You got to be. It's the same thing. You can't just say, okay, let's prosecute this person, because the justice system itself has been corrupted all these years with judges who have taken bribes. You know they have, and what have you. They were part of they were appointed by the last administration, more than likely, many of them, and depends on where you're at. If you're especially in Washington, they're more or less, the majority are corrupt. I'm not going to say all judges are, because that's not true. But you got to do it the process and let it ride out. That's what we do. If you don't have we probably have tons of evidence, but we got to make sure all the dots are there, all the T's are crossed. It just needs to be done. It takes a long time. You're talking many years of corruption, bribery, whatever they've done, and God-forsaken things that we know of. If you are not following this, you would understand. I mean, really research this. I've seen things that will just curl your toes. And do I want these jerks prosecuted? You're damn right I do. But I know it's going to take time. We have Durham. We have Barr. They're not clowns. They're not deep state. That at least I'm pretty sure. I'm not aware of it, but if they are, I sure am fooled. But I doubt they are. These men are working very hard. They have a hell of a lot on their plate. So on that part, we just need to be patient. Please be patient. Everybody's done awesomely researching, but there's many people who have not. Oh, of course, a commercial.
Hey, I don't know if you noticed, but the fake news problem in this country is getting out of hand.
Michael Flynn has always been an innocent man. And now it is more clear than ever that a few corrupt, high-ranking, deep state bureaucrats set him up. They were all bragging about it. And tonight, all signs point to the corrupt so-called leadership of a higher calling honor, Mr. Super Patriot Jim Comey. Why? Because according to newly unredacted FBI documents just released today, in early January 2017, the FBI, the Bureau, determined that Flynn was, quote, no longer a viable candidate as part of Crossfire Hurricane. There was no collusion. He did nothing wrong. These documents report that there was no derogatory material on Flynn in the FBI files, no derogatory material in the Defense Intel Agency files, no derogatory material in the CIA files. And by January 4th, the case against Flynn, they said it was going to be dropped. That is until the corrupt upper echelon of the FBI, already involved in Crossfire Hurricane, they jumped in. Peter Strzok, we now know, sent several urgent texts demanding to know if this case is still open. To his relief, the case was never officially closed, even though they had closed it. Strzok texted, quote, "Amazing. Okay, good, it's still open." And, quote, "Yeah, our utter incompetence actually helps us." Wow, that's breathtaking. Strzok informed his colleagues at the 7th floor. Now, what's the 7th floor? That's where the FBI upper echelon leadership was involved. And just like that, a few corrupt agents, they did in fact conspire. They set Flynn up, all under the watch of James Comey. On January 24, 2017, one agent asked, quote, "What is our goal? Is it truth? Is it admission? Or is our goal to get him to lie so then we could prosecute him or at least get him fired?" That is not a question that should ever be asked by anyone, any professional, and would never be asked by the 99% of brave professionals in the FBI. Now, shouldn't the goal of the FBI, not that question, should it always be truth, the rule of law, justice? They work in the Department of Justice. We have a system of justice in America. Apparently not in Jim Comey's FBI. Look at this. According to America's #1 super patriot, setting a perjury trap, put this in context for an American war hero, 33 years of service under his belt for this country so we could all live free. Yeah, that would be important. In one unredacted note, agents even considered using the Logan Act as a centerpiece of their scheme. Nobody has ever been found guilty of violating this arcane law since it was passed in 1799. Not one person. Even Bloomberg pointed out, yeah, this very fact. Nope, the Logan Act been used repeatedly as a partisan cajole to harass political opponents for more than 2 American centuries. And what exactly happened? Well, January 24th, that would be 4 days after Donald Trump was inaugurated, Mr. Higher Loyalty Super Patriot Jim Comey directed agents to literally go in and ambush a 33-year war vet at the White House just 4 days after Trump's inauguration and after Deputy Director McCabe of the FBI said to Flynn, "Oh, you don't need a lawyer. This isn't about you. Not at all." And since the White House was in the middle of chaos, it's always chaotic during a transition. This is day 4. Comey saw a perfect opportunity to lay his trap. You don't have to take my word for it. We've got James Comey on tape, kind of like Quid Pro Quo Joe. He's bragging about the setup that he'd never do in the Bush or Obama administrations or ever get away with because there's a process that he decided, well, not to use. Take a look.
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. And in both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over.
Now there's an event of biblical proportions happening on May 20th, and it's nowhere seen on the news.
I sent them. I took advantage of it. I sent a couple of guys up there, something I'd never do or get away with in the Bush or Obama administrations. Yeah, I sent them. Wow. Following Comey's ambush, the investigators involved did not believe that Flynn was lying. How do you like that? But after multiple major revisions of interrogation and notes by Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Viola, boom, the FBI was able to charge Flynn with a crime that he didn't commit, that they didn't think he committed, and they threatened his son. Want to know how good a father that Lieutenant General Flynn is? He decided, are you going to turn on my son? Unless I sign this lie, I guess I have to fall on the sword for my son. Wow, what father wouldn't? What good father wouldn't? but not before they turn the screws. They threatened Flynn to throw him behind bars, threatened his son and his family. He had mounting legal bills. Oh, he's broke after 33 years of service, the lieutenant general. Yep, he was bankrupt. He lost his house, his reputation in ruins, all because of Comey, his corrupt agents at the very top of the FBI. They all hated Trump. They've been involved in stopping him from getting elected and then sabotaging him ever since, spying on him, in the words of Attorney General Barr, deep into the Trump presidency. Now, this is why I make a distinction. You know, this pin is the FBI pin in solidarity for the 99% of our federal and state law enforcement officials. They serve us bravely and with honor and with integrity, the best of the best. But the malignant, agenda-driven 1%, they're now threatening the very basis of our justice system. They must be held accountable. And to the credit of this Attorney General, he is doing just that. He's following justice and the rule of law, equal application of the law, equal justice under the law. They ruined the life of an American war hero. They spied on Carter Page. They ruined his life. By the way, then they used a FISA application, a warrant, that was based, let's see, Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for dirty dossier full of Russian disinformation that Russia, even the New York Toilet Times gets this, clearly used to help Clinton and mess with our elections. Yeah, Russian disinformation, a steal that Hillary's paying for. That is unverifiable because it's debunked. Devin Nunes, he warned the entire country in 2014 that the hostile regime in Russia and the hostile actor Putin would do this. Biden, Obama, the compromised, corrupt, congenital liar Schiff, they did nothing to stop it. They spied on the Trump campaign, the Trump transition team, and even, as the AG pointed out, as I said, deep into the Trump presidency. In other words, they laid a perjury trap in this case. They set a perjury trap for George Papadopoulos. They knocked down Paul Manafort's door. That case was dead and buried. They dragged it out of mothballs just to hurt Trump. They, raided his home in the middle of the night, guns drawn, scaring the crap out of him and his wife, and tax fraud charges. And they sent dozens of agents, 30 of them, tactical gear to surround the home of Roger Stone at 3 a.m. for a process crime that the Inspector General suspects that Comey and McCabe themselves are guilty of. Anyway, they raided the house, 3 a.m. Roger Stone invited CNN to film it all. I guess they just happened to be bored that night, just happened to be in the right place at the right time, right? Because he allegedly lied to Congress. Usually what they say is, can you report at 8 a.m.? That would be the way you handle that, but not if you're abusing power. So what is the common denominator in all this? It is President Trump. They were determined to take down this administration, this president, one way or another. And today, the president had this to say about the corrupt agents in the deep state and their cheerleaders in the mob, which is 99% of the media today. Take a look.
Can a president make laws by executive order? 2 years ago, when President Trump said that he'd end DACA, he...
Look.
I really hoped, because CNN tormented him, in all fairness, I really hope to see, because they haven't been doing it, and I appreciate your question, I hope to see that CNN will not even apologize, which they should, but just cover it fairly, because he's in the process of being exonerated. If you look at those notes from yesterday, that was total exoneration. These were dirty, filthy cops at the top of the FBI.
President has been right. We've been right. The program here, we've reported the truth about this abuse of power and corruption. And frankly, for 3+ years, it's been a little bit of a lonely road. They were pushing their conspiracy theories and their smears and lies and slander. For almost all media outlets, including socialist state TV, MSDNC, fake news CNN, toilet paper of record, the New York Toilet Paper Times, instead of holding our federal government accountable, they were cheering for the demise of an American war hero and wanting to take out a duly elected president. They didn't want him elected. Take a look.
Did Flynn go rogue, by the way, when he spoke to Russia? Well,
that would be a bigger scandal than almost anything we've ever seen in any other presidential administration.
Next, we're going to get back to Michael Flynn's guilty plea today and how it's made this an historic day here in D.C.
Fact is, Michael Flynn betrayed his country.
The warrant application was a warrant based on probable cause, not proof, that he was a foreign agent.
A judge today all but called him a traitor. The president today wished him well.
After 2 hours of a judge rebuking fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn using words such as treason and disgust and disdain.
You think any of these outlets have the honor, decency, concern for truth and justice and integrity to say to General Flynn, we're sorry? Don't hold your breath. You have bureaucrats, tremendous power. You have the mob, tremendous power. Ruining the lives of innocent Americans, yep. Trying to influence an election, trying to unseat a duly elected president of we smelly Walmart shopper, guns, Bible, believe in God people. Irredeemable deplorables. Trump transition team and Trump presidency. And the mob, they helped them every step of the way. Sickening. Journalism's dead. I've told you, it's dead. But we will continue to demand justice. We will continue to go our own way, forge our own path on this show. We have been unrelenting for 3 years, and we're not stopping. Justice, fairness, freedom, the fabric of our republic means something to us. And soon, thanks to the Attorney General, kudos to Bill Barr. What did he do? His job. That's what his job is. Yep. Follow the law. He's doing it. Durham apparently doing it also. Justice is coming for all who abuse their power.
Better believe it's coming, and it's going to be here quick. It's again, this is the crack in the dam. This is big because you're going to have somebody like crack more. And if anybody's going to spill all the beans, and I'm still going to stick with it, it's going to be Clapper. He's a wuss. He's soft. And he's already threw Obama under the bus for everything that has been going on. They said that they got their orders from the Obama administration, period. So we'll just have to keep an eye out for this and see what happens.
Cutting through the noise to bring you an update on the deep state's case against General Michael Flynn and how Democrats are so twisted up in their beliefs, it would make a pretzel blush. I'm Mike Huckabee with this week's breakdown.
Imagine that, being framed by our own government and by political operatives who don't like you. And I think that's what we're going to find out.
Well, that was Devin Nunes speaking with Maria Bartiromo on this week's Sunday Morning Futures on the case of former National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. It's highly doubtful that Nunes, ranking member and former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, would be saying something like this unless he already possessed knowledge that it was true. Now recall that he was pilloried for his memo debunking the Russia hoax in 2018, even though his conclusions were later verified, and it was Adam Schiff's memo that was discredited. If you've read Lee Smith's excellent book called The Plot Against the President, you know that General Flynn was indeed targeted by operatives who just didn't like him, and that went back as far as 2014 or 2015. The Obama Department of Justice didn't like him because he wanted to lessen the military's reliance on the CIA bureaucracy. And the reason was because it slowed them down when minutes counted on the battlefield. He was calling for financial audits of the Pentagon Defense Department, and he was a vocal opponent of one of President Obama's most cherished administration-defining plans, the Iran deal. The deep state wanted him compromised long before President-elect Trump announced that he would be coming to the White House to work at his side. Incredibly, one of the major sources for the Steele dossier, which is responsible for Flynn's current woes, was never interviewed, never, by Robert Mueller's team. Now think about that. It seems to me that a $32 million investigation could have been a little more thorough. As for General Flynn, it's logical to strongly suspect, if not conclude from what we know, that he was framed. And if he was, then it's also logical to expect that the Obama Department of Justice would have hidden exculpatory evidence that would have put an end to General Flynn's legal travails. But Christian Daytalk at the Daily Caller News Foundation is reporting that President Trump's FBI Director Christopher Wray also kept that evidence under wraps, an allegation that has, of course, been denied.
Now, that is really interesting, and I think, and I'm really disappointed in Ray because I thought he was going to actually be different. He was going to be a better director than the rest. Maybe not, unless there's something that's so sensitive that we can't see it. It's hard to tell at this point. And they got to get all the information. They still have been withholding documents that, like Tom Fenton, Judicial Watch needs, and many others that, for some reason, they're stonewalling. What's in there that's going to totally damn the FBI is really got to be very interesting, because you just don't do that for anything.
I've long expressed some doubt of Wray's effectiveness as FBI director, but if this is true, it takes his role into a whole new realm. Whether FBI Director Wray was directly involved or not, General Flynn's attorney Sidney Powell has long maintained that the FBI and Justice Department were continuing to hide this exculpatory evidence, or what's known as Brady material. Court documents have finally been filed that contain important evidence that Powell was seeking that would clear Flynn. I'll get to that in a moment, but first, I'd like to remind you, please subscribe to the channel below. Hit the notification bell and the like button as well if you've been enjoying our content and you'd like to see more of it. Well, like I said, more evidence that could clear Michael Flynn may be forthcoming, and all of this is happening after Attorney General Bill Barr assigned the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Missouri to conduct a review of the Flynn investigation. The review involved the analysis of reports related to the investigation, along with communications and notes by FBI personnel associated with the investigation, that according to the cover letter that was sent to Powell and another attorney. It's been reported by the Federalist that FBI General Counsel Dana Bonte was the one who blocked release of the Brady material, but that she was acting, quote, in coordination with Wray, end quote. This claim has also been strongly denied, of course. The order to put a hold on Brady material should never have been given by anyone. To withhold such evidence, well, it's a blatant violation of the constitutional guarantee to a fair trial. Now, this is just one of the ways that Flynn was treated shamefully. He deserves to have his guilty plea thrown out, all charges dropped, or maybe given a presidential pardon, and restitution for the damages that this travesty has caused to his reputation, career, financial condition, and peace of mind.
Amen.
Oh, and he should be the one who gets to throw the book at those who framed him. There's more to come, including, I think, some indictments. Well, speaking of covering up the truth, there are times when I almost feel sorry for loyal Democrats. I mean, over the past few years, in order to keep from being slandered and hounded by Twitter mobs, they've had to force themselves to live in a constant state of denial. And I don't just mean pretending not to notice how badly their cherished leftist policies failed during the Obama administration and everywhere else they've been tried. Starting in 2016, to remain a Democrat in good standing, you had to deny that Donald Trump was really the president, or my president. You had to deny that his negotiating tactics really had resulted in better trade deals for the U.S., and that the tax cut benefited people other than the super rich. Just since January, Democrats have had to deny that Trump was right, or they've tried to deny that Trump was right to block travel from China and Europe, and that
yeah, I have, but what? I don't understand what that has to do with anything. Oh, shoot.
The pandemic was caused by China's carelessness and lies, but the denial of reality shifted into hyperdrive this week. Democrats across the nation are refusing to listen to Americans as they demand to reopen their businesses,
I think
even
you're
when some of those on the
way
verge
off
of open
topic, my
revolt
friend.
from other Democratic politicians. Of course, they accuse Republicans of being science deniers, yet they refuse to listen to doctors and researchers who say that the data indicates coronavirus is far more widespread and less lethal than we originally thought, and that keeping society shut down is doing more harm than good. It's even doing irreparable harm to the healthcare system, laying off doctors and shutting down hospitals, and causing deaths by preventing people from getting truly necessary medical care for what some have called trivial conditions, like cancer. All of this in the name of keeping hospitals free for the overwhelming surge of COVID-19 patients that never came close to materializing. Some Democrats are even denying their own previous statements. And speaking of denying your own alleged principles, whatever happened to believe all women? You've heard about the recently surfaced allegation against Joe Biden. Well, 2 more women have come forward to verify that former Joe Biden staffer Tara Reade told them of her sexual assault allegation against Biden in the 1990s. And both women, by the way, are Democrats. One of the women who spoke up for Tara Reade said, quote, "I personally am a Democrat, a very strong Democrat, and I'm for Biden regardless. But still, I have to come out and say this," end quote. Remember the outrage from Democrats when Trump facetiously said that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and his supporters wouldn't abandon him? Well, here's some corroborating an allegation of sexual assault of a friend against the presumptive Democratic nominee, and adding, "I'm for Biden regardless." And she's actually serious. Nevertheless, the party and its PR flacks in the media are sticking their fingers in their ears and la-la-la-la-lying all the way to the election. The Washington Post even seems to think the only newsworthy part of this story, which incidentally has infinitely more corroborating evidence than the allegations against Brett Kavanaugh, is that Trump allies are amplifying Reade's story by paying attention to her. Well, somebody should, don't you think? Thank you so much for watching.
Well, you know, when it comes, I do not like Joe Biden no matter anything. But in all fairness, we are better than the left. He's innocent before proven guilty. He needs to give a statement, legal statement. They need to really investigate this, because even what a dipshit he really is, and a dumb one, you just can't say somebody's guilty without proof. I'm not saying that the lady's lying, but that's where an investigation comes in. That's serious. That's a serious accusation. And I don't think that, hold on a second, and watch out for plugs being killed. But really, you have to investigate both. Now, Biden says that if something exists, it will be there. But there is a problem, because he said this on Morning Joe, I believe this morning. And he said that if something is there, they could find it. But, again, the college where he went to does not have any legal papers to anything of Biden's, because nothing is worth it, apparently. Of course, they ain't even worth toilet paper. But still, I'm not saying the lady's lying. It needs to be investigated. I think this should be fair in any allegation. And that's just my opinion. If there's been a single president race, what's out there? It hasn't been accused of some level of sexual assault. But they lied when it came to the president. They lied when it came to Kavanaugh. We're better than that. It needs to be investigated. This lady has to be given the benefit of the doubt. And I don't really like it. I guess Joe Biden does too. But again, that's just my opinion. I could easily say, oh, well, the piece of shit did it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but what if he didn't? What if there is a modus operandi over it? What if he did do it? Then this son of a bitch should go to prison. Simple as that. He's already a fucking pedo. Excuse my language. So, I'm sure eventually the truth will come out. Everything does have a truth, and it can't hide forever when people try to hide it. I don't know this lady. She's apparently a Democrat. She was a staffer, but did it happen? I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't. The process is the way the important to get pretty petty over politicians. This is what the Dems activists do to get it. No, crud.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject.
I'm not really
to
happy
think
with that
you're
guy.
right.
Whether he can do it or not, obviously the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, would like to be the president. Meanwhile, his brother over at CNN wants you to think that he has risen from the dead as well. Several weeks ago, he contracted coronavirus. We expressed sympathy for him that night. It was totally sincere. We haven't criticized him in any way since then. But then we watched him seize every chance to remind everyone watching that he was very sick and in very strict containment.
I'm doing the show, as you know, in my basement in COVID containment. Is this the new normal? Is this how it's going to be? No. I can't always be in my basement. You can't always be in your house. We got to get back to work. I'm down in the basement. We're doing it super strict here. It's not easy. It is necessary. I know it's what a lot of us want to hear. Hell, I want to hear it, Governor. I'm sick of being in my basement. I want to get out.
Well, thankfully, Cuomo got better, and we're happy to hear that. Not kidding. But CNN, shameless cheese balls that they are, celebrated by filming Cuomo rising like a buff cable news Lazarus from the grave and back into ordinary life.
We had a huge day today in Casa Cuomo. Take a look at this.
Quasi Cuomo.
All right, here it is. The official re-entry from the basement. Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out. Happens. This is what I've been dreaming of, literally for weeks. This is the dream. Just to be back up here doing normal things.
When did journalists start talking about themselves so much? It's not a story, it's narcissism. And that's weird enough. But it's not all. That was fake. Just last week, Cuomo admitted getting into a fight with a bicyclist who harassed him for going outside and congregating with other people, something CNN has been vilifying ordinary people for wanting to do.
I don't want some jackass, loser, fat tire biker to be able to pull over and get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it.
By the way, if you're the jackass, loser, fat-tired bicyclists, you're always welcome on this show. We'd love to hear from you. That whole exchange seems kind of unpleasant, but there's a scandal underneath it. Here you have a top CNN anchor who appears to have been ignoring the social distancing rules his network has been promoting and forcing on everyone else. It seems like he wasn't telling the truth about staying quarantined in his basement, which can't be too mean. His own video was humiliating enough.
Hi, I'm Rex Moore with the Motley Fool in front of BMW's self-driving exhibit at CES.
Stuck before I thought about it. Okay, so that was Narcissus Cuomo. Jerkhead. I'm gonna... Well, I guess we might as well just go to the main event. Screw it. Okay, so we've already had one protest in a couple months ago. Now we had another one yesterday. I was there. It was very good. We had our voices. We did our demonstration. We did not bow to the tyrant of our governor. And actually, when we were there were people in the window with masks on. There was like 3 over here. There's another guy on the other side taking pictures and all that. So it was quite an event. So, court sides with Governor Whitmer in case claiming stay-at-home order violated constitutional rights. Who was he appointed by? Michigan Court of Claims sided with Governor Whitmer on deemed a motion of preliminary injunction holding that the current stay-at-home safe executive order and early vision of it did not infringe upon the constitutional rights of the Michigan residents. Attorney General Dana Nessel said in a statement, the plaintiff of Mizico versus Whitmer, excuse me if I mispronounced her name, alleged that the mandatory quarantine imposed a stay-by-home safety order, Executive Order 2020-59, and intense travel restrictions contained in an earlier version of the order, violates their rights on both due process and substantivity due process, according to a release. In the first I'm getting so mispronunciation here. Ruled examining the constitutionality of the executive order, Court of Judge Christopher Murray acknowledged that his option in the right arrest by plaintiff and are fundamental. Excuse me. So what happened was the executive order did expire at midnight yesterday, but because the great governor decided just do another one, so now we got a 28-day more quarantine. So we have been shouting our voices quite a bit, and we've been making our presence known, and so is many others around the country. Today was California, Pennsylvania, I believe Illinois. Stand up, fight for what's right. Just get out there. Don't be silent. Don't be afraid. In fact, we're going to have another one tomorrow. There will be another one tomorrow. We will not be silenced. We will not bow to tyranny. And it is tyranny. Governor Whitmer issues a new executive order extending the state of emergency until May 28th. I have many choice words for this, but I will refrain from it. The showdown between Governor Whitmer and state representative-controlled legislation has taken another step forward as the governor has signed a new executive order declaring a new state of emergency. I'm really reframing my choice of words. The state of disaster of Michigan until May 28th at 11:59 p.m. The 3 new executive orders are terminated by a previous state of emergency and disaster declarations, which are issued under the Emergency Management Act due to executive orders, cities of emergency powers of the government of 1945 and Emergency Management Act. So they did say, screw you. They listened to us It was about, I would say 11ish. I wasn't really keeping time. We were all at the protest, and they came out with a tweet that they were going to stand strong. Our legislation did not give her an extension. So this is what she decided to do. It's you know what, when you really hear about it, it does infringe our constitutional rights, because we are not free to go to another state. I've heard people can't go to their second house up north. This is getting to be bullshit. And when it came to the protest, it was a good one. Now, I did not go inside. I was not one of them, but it would have been a great place to be.
That was during the 2012 right to work demonstrations, which by numbers were far, far bigger than the one that we're seeing in Lansing today. Nonetheless, that is happening now. I can also update you a little bit on the House and Senate. Both are still either at recess, the call of the chair, which means that's over in the House. It means the Speaker can just hold everybody there indefinitely until they decide to do something or to adjourn. And over in the Senate, they came back in at 12:30 and recessed until 1:30. In the Senate, there are two pieces of legislation that have been added to the itinerary. It includes that concurrent order number 25 that I talked about earlier that would disallow the emergency order from continuing, and would also ask for a number of pieces of data from the governor before they would extend any such emergency order. Also, a separate bit of information coming out that there is another bill or another resolution, I'm not sure which, that would allow the Senate to pursue legal action against the executive branch. Neither one of those have been acted on, but they're both on the agenda, have been placed there within the past hour and a half or so. And so right now, neither chamber in session, but you can see there are protesters that are inside the Capitol now. And just for those of you who may be wondering, the way this process works is there are two sets of sergeant of arms, if you will, one for the Senate and one for the House, and they essentially take care of those chambers and the members werein. Then there's a separate group, a state police detachment that is permanently stationed at the state capitol to maintain order and kind of help people navigate the situation. And then there'll be a third group of people, which will be regular state police officers that no doubt have been called in today in anticipation of protests. So there will be a pretty heavy police presence there in the Capitol, along with those protesters who, in my experience, have generally been allowed to protest and do what they want to, as long as they're not creating any damage or causing danger to any individual. So it could be a pretty loud situation there for a while, Emily, depending on how many people are in.
All right, Rick Albin, thank you for that. We do want to go live to Leon Hendricks, if Leon can hear us now. All right. Leon, what are you seeing?
Emily, I hope you can hear us okay. We are here right outside of the chambers where hundreds of the protesters that were outside have now come inside. They're screaming, "Let us in," chanting, "Let us in, let us in," and having a bit of a face-off here with the Michigan State Police and the sergeants at arms who are here to protect the decorum. We're now yelling, "Lock her up, lock her up." If you can hear that in the background. Now, this is certainly not a situation, as you can see in the live pictures, that social distancing is happening. It's very close quarters. I've got a mask on. Some of the people out here do, but a number of them don't, and they are certainly wanting to make sure their voice is heard here inside of the Capitol. If you've ever been in here, you know that rotunda area in the middle of the Capitol building creates quite an echo, and just it gets quite loud and robust when there is protest in here, and that is what we're experiencing inside the building now. There's now singing happening here. Just quite a scene. They're singing the national anthem. Just a remarkable scene to see here inside the Capitol. And as Rick said, there's no way that the folks in the chambers don't hear the sound that's coming in from outside. The rule was there's a lot of people who are trying to get in that can't get in yet. They're only allowing, at this point, 275 people to come inside. The Michigan State Police were checking the temperatures of folks as they walked in. It was voluntary, but they were taking your temperature with a touchless device.
So that's what happened yesterday inside the Capitol building in Lansing, Michigan. On the outside I was not far from the stadium. It was kind of hard because they had signs always in the way, so I wish I could have scoped a little bit better than possible. But we had a great guest. We had Sheriff Clark himself was there, and Brandon Strata from the Walkaway Movement all the way to Michigan to show support. Thank you very much. Loved your presence there, and I hope you can keep coming back as long as we have to do this.
Has this affected some people? Yes, it has. But we've never killed the American economy over a health scare. Instead of backing off, government has become more oppressive with no signs of letting up. Now we're told that testing of every American must be done before American life can return. I'm here to tell you that I do not want the government to run any testing operation of the American people.
Amen. Amen.
Bill Gates has suggested microchipping every American. And like you, that is a rabbit hole I do not want to go down.
You want to know the law? Are you ready?
Indeed, flu and pneumonia deaths this year are reported by MDHHS far surpass the number of COVID-19 deaths right here in Michigan. COVID-19 and the flu are transmitted in largely the same ways. According to the CDC, COVID-19 and the flu have largely the same symptoms: cough, fever, chills, body aches, headaches, and the sore throat. And while we're comparing, so far this year in 2020, heart disease has claimed more than 5 times the number of lives as COVID-19 right here in Michigan, according to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Cancer taking almost twice as many lives so far as COVID-19, with COPD and stroke also killing more than COVID-19. So what should we do about COVID-19? Do the same exact thing you would do for the flu.
Amen. So that's what kind of happened. It was really cold. It was wet, but it was worth it. And we'll do it again. We'll keep doing it until we are able to stop. And we know what's going to happen to make us stop. We're going to keep. Oh, hey, Moscow Mitch. Where are you, buddy? I think you deserve a block. I don't like you. I've seen you, and you're not a very nice person. So let's find you here. Oh, there you are. Goodbye. So we have hearing a petition to recall Governor Whitmore, delayed after governor's law stays notification was improper. I bet that was nothing but a lie. The petition to recall Governor Whitmore will have to wait a little bit longer to have the language reviewed by the state due to the notification error by election officials. The petition language was scheduled to be renewed Thursday, April 30th, by the Board of State Commerce via a virtual meeting. However, the governor's legal consultant took issue to Whitmer's office, his notification of the petition. Michigan election laws require the Board of State Commerce to notify the office who is being for recall at least 3 days prior to the hearing, but the notification did not come to Jonathan Butler, Director of Election Security, Secretary of the Board of State of Commerce. It was sent instead to Melissa Millerman of the State Bureau of Elections, whom Buster asked to make the notification. Excuse me if I mispronounce your names. The board acknowledged that Butler has often asked staff to make such notifications on his behalf, but the governor's council said it was an improper notification that would make Thursday's hearing particularly defective. So she's stalling, basically. She's being an ass. And by the way, I blocked Moscow Mitch. He is kind of a cuck. But, we've had enough of this lockdown. It's time to just say it's over. This is more than more than just worried about us. In fact, I have her town hall meeting, if you will, taped, and I'm kind of going through it a little bit, and I've come up with some really interesting things that she said, which are total lies.
It all starts with a desire to do. Do more with domain.com.
Yesterday, it was just announced that America has many hypersonic missiles under construction.
When blue state governors justify their continuing stay-at-home orders, even with COVID deaths in their states relatively
Thank you for the
low,
ice cream.
they
Really
invariably
appreciate it.
regurgitate the same justification.
We're going to do the right thing, not judged by politics, not judged by protest, but by science.
Not to be a broken record, but we're looking at data.
We have to make the best informed decisions based on data and science with the information we have.
Well, that sounds good, but are they actually listening to the science? And is the science even settled? Well, last month, before governors began locking down their states, prominent Stanford epidemiologist John Ioannidis made a prescient observation. He said, in the absence of data, prepare for the worst reasoning leads to extreme measures of social distancing and lockdowns. Unfortunately, we don't know if these measures work. Well, for raising this inconvenient truth or even questioning the orthodoxy, the good professor became an instant pariah in the medical establishment circles. Now, others just ignored him, hoping he'd go away. But new data seems to support skepticism of the effectiveness of social distancing. Now, wouldn't you know that our dear friends over at Facebook actually created their own database that measures and tracks social distancing in every U.S. state? They use two different metrics, and they're examined. The first is called relative mobility change, which is how often someone travels outside his or her area, home area. The second is the stay put percentage, or the percentage of people who stayed in their homes for the day. Now, if you look closely, I don't know if you can on the graphic on TV, but we see that the states with the largest drops in, quote, relative mobility and the largest increases in their stay put percentage are also the states with the most confirmed COVID cases and deaths. Now, New Yorkers and New Jerseyans were understandably terrified about this virus and took the stay-at-home orders quite seriously. But nevertheless, the virus continued to spread. Would it have been worse without the social distancing? Maybe. Do we know that for certain? No. Although the Facebook mapping isn't dispositive, it merely confirms, or reconfirms, I should say, what we need to ask and the questions we need answered about the true efficacy of these social mitigation measures. Now, remember, experts don't like to admit they're wrong, do they? After all, they're supposed to be smarter than the rest of us on all this stuff. Well, then there's the other new article of COVID faith, masks. Now, like most Americans, weeks ago, I began wearing a mask while grocery shopping. And I've talked about this before, but I have been a notorious germaphobe for decades. And it's so bad that my fellow airline passengers, they used to look at me really weirdly when I carried out my ritual disinfecting, regimen that I do with the sprays and wiping down. Well, now everybody's a germaphobe, right? Well, and in March, I thought if masks are what it takes to get Americans back to business sooner, and I assume they'd be temporary, then fine, what's the big deal? But then I started to see people fiddling with their masks, touching their faces, readjusting the mask, even shaming others for not wearing masks when you're outdoors and exercising, like running past someone 10 feet away. You're not wearing a mask. Well, I started to ask questions. So do these masks, a lot of them are homemade, really slow the spread of COVID? It seems like 5 minutes ago we were told they weren't necessary at all, and now they're as commonplace as sweatpants. Numerous airlines are, as of today, requiring them of both crew and passengers. And they're even becoming, masks are becoming kind of fashion accessories. But since we're supposed to be guided by actual facts, what does the science actually say about masks? And I'm not talking about the N95 masks, which work pretty well, and they're, in the clinical, in the hospital setting, but I'm talking about the homemade ones. They're kind of fun to make. We've made some of them here. Well, May Chu, a clinical professor of epidemiology at the Colorado School of Public Health, says the homemade cotton masks only stop about 2% of the airflow coming in. 2%. And those surgical blue masks that you see all around and people throw them away, they're in the gutters now, they're like an ecological hazard. While they're good in the, again, medical setting, operating room, in and out of medical procedures, they aren't very effective out in public, Chu told Live Science. She said, these masks don't seal against the face. About 70% of the outside air moves through the mask, and about 30% travels around the sides. In other words, the masks don't catch the droplets. Now, if experts advising our government officials want the rest of us to take them seriously, then their recommendations have to be reasonable and well-founded, and it would be nice if they were occasionally consistent. If they're not, no one's going to listen. And if they're not held accountable for being wrong, then I don't know where that leaves us. I'm telling you, be prepared, though, as all this plays out, for more petty power grabs. And I'm talking about of the sort we've seen from Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Today, anti-shutdown protesters converged on the state capitol there. Presumably, state reps listened, and they adjourned, the Republicans, without extending the state of emergency in Michigan. We'll see what Governor Whitmer does now. Apparently, she's just yawning. Americans, though, are smart.
Yeah,
and now,
that's all she did. And extended the damn quarantine or whatever the hell it is anymore. This is really we can make fun of it, but really, you got to look at some people who can't deal with it. They have problems with depression because they're all quarantined. They can't see their families, friends, whomever. You just can't. You know, a lot of facilities, such as maybe retirement homes or, you know, probably rehabilitation centers, they're not going to let you in. You won't be able to see your families. And a lot of these folks really miss their children. They love them. So, you know, this has really got to stop because it is separating a lot of families, let alone bringing some together. So we're going to keep up the fight. I hope everybody continues to protest as much as possible, organize until this is over. We cannot allow this to continue. Yes, I'm actually going to purposely play this. Oops, what did I do? That's what I did. Nope. Oh, I moved it, didn't I? What did I do? There we go.
There's a positive development.
Prolonged lockdown basically is slavery.
Do you feel enslaved?
I do. I'm a type A lawyer and I'm bouncing off the walls of my living room because I can't go out.
This is California.
Freedom! 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 Good American, a born free American! They're lying about the death tolls.
I will take a chances and get a coronavirus better than shutting down this economy.
I'll die on my feet, not on my knees.
Yeah, I want you to take the vaccine first, Bill Gates.
We
No
don't
kidding.
have a civil right to be immortal. If only the healthy people are okay and the people who are at risk get ill, isn't that how it's supposed to be?
I'm immune compromised. I put that at risk today.
Are you scared to die?
No more scared than I am for anything else.
Now, who says there's not some good patriots in California? Because there are. In fact, they were protesting on the beach, but they couldn't go on the sand. They can go on the walkway, which a lot of them did.
The reality is we are just a few weeks away, not months away, from making measurable and meaningful changes to our stay-at-home order. That is a very optimistic point to emphasize. However, that's driven by data. It's driven by behavior. And as we change our behavior, we can impact the science, the health, and the data. This virus doesn't take the weekends off. This virus doesn't go home because it's a beautiful sunny day around our coasts.
No, just like every other Democrat, power hungry. I think this is like one of the most beautiful sights I've seen today and heard about is them fighting to free California. This is...
There's not enough police to stop this. That's why everybody, 60,000 people went to the beach yesterday. You can't stop this. You're a minority.
God bless America! God bless
good patriots.
Trump 2020, we love you, Trump! Oh, California for Trump! COVID-19 is nothing more than a common cold. Everybody better watch out. Don't take your vaccine. Don't take nothing.
All the patriots better get out and vote for the president. They better do what they can. Because we need them. And we want California free just as much as anybody else. Well, as much as, along with the allegations with Joe Biden, you know, I do believe in due process, but he's also got a supporter. No, not Hillary, but Nancy.
Save on a great domain today.
You know, I'm getting real sick and tired of all of these people
so
bashing Joe Biden. You know, Joe Biden is a saint, okay? And he would make a fantastic president. You know, it's like all these people, you know, saying these false accusations about him. I don't believe Hillary for 1 second, okay? She's lying. She's lying. You know, it's like, you know, Joe Biden is Joe Biden. You know, Joe Biden's gonna be Joe Biden. You know, it's like Joe Biden is Joe Biden. You know, he's got a little bit of Mississippi neck sounds in him. And, you know, it's like
Oh,
the
that
real
is so
sexy
gross.
right, you know, you just grab your shoulders and start sniffing your neck, you know, it's like, you don't want him around if you got shit, if you know what I'm talking about. But, a word of warning, you know, if he does start sniffing your neck, you know, it's best to just let him feel it. All right, you know, Joe Biden for president, 2020.
That's so gross. Oh God, man! I'm telling you, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Oh Lord.
I knew what? You know I knew. I knew too.
Now get him the hell out of here, will you, please? Get him out of here. Throw him out.
Real quick. Yeah, they're gonna get thrown into jail. And this article I am saving for something else.
Bill Gates, software developer and co.
Nope, can't hear that one because that was a surprise. So I want to leave you with this, and I really want you to take it to heart. Believe in freedom. Believe in your civil rights. Get mad. Get mad as hell. And if you're in a state like Pennsylvania, California, Illinois, Michigan, and any other state that are violating your civil rights, get mad. Do something about it. Organize something. Do it peacefully. We can't have any bad behavior. Do it peacefully. Have your voice heard. Get mad. And thank you very much. I'm going to open up the chest real quick for those in D Live. And God bless you. God bless the President of the United States, Vice President, First Responders, Military, Border Patrol, and Coast Guard, and everybody else involved, and the men and women of the medical field, the nurses, the doctors, and everybody. God bless you all. I do appreciate you. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired tonight. I like to be a little more energetic, and it'll get there. All right, let me get my glasses on. Nice job, Persistent. 32 lemons. Nice. And Little Von Nilton got 19. So thank you for the ice cream. I really appreciate that. So I will leave you at that. Be kind to one another. Do the best that you can. Help people who need it, especially in these times. You know, a lot of people can't do certain things because maybe of a disability or anything else. Be kind, help them out, and love one another. God bless you. And here we go.
I have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I want you to get up right now. Get up, go to your windows, open them, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Things have got to change.
How many stations does this go out?
You've got to get mad.
67.
Say,
I know it goes to Louisville and Atlanta.
I'm not going to take this anymore. Then we'll figure out what to do about the depression and the inflation and the oil crisis. But first, get up out of your chairs, open the window, stick your head out and yell, and say, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Who are you talking to, Herb?
CGG Atlanta.
Are they yelling in Atlanta, Herb?
Are they yelling in Atlanta, Ted? But first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
They're yelling in Baton Rouge.
Get up out of your...
Son of a bitch! We struck the mother load!
Stick your head out of the window, open it, and stick your head out and keep yelling and yell, I'm as mad as hell, I'm not going to take this anymore. Just get up from your chairs right now. Go to
Where
the
you
window.
going? I want to see if anybody's
Go
yelling.
to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell and keep yelling. I'm mad as hell! I'm not going to take this anymore!
I'm mad as hell! I'm not gonna
Good night, everybody. Get mad as hell and protest. Make your voice heard. Do what's right. Do it peacefully, of course. You always got to remember that. It's very important. I think we should protest. We deserve to be heard, and this needs to end. Good night, everybody.